So a big welcome to everyone after Christmas. So we're in this lovely little, almost feels like twilight always this time of the year where it's between Christmas and New Year. So we've given away prizes, Christmas gifts, I like to call them, for those of you who have come along and participated with the presentations all up until Christmas. So just between now and, of course, what we're calling in now is 2020. And I thought we'd end it off perfectly with how to soul power your way through 2020 with soul powered executive coach Tess Vergara. Now, I know for a lot, 2018, 2019 haven't been that great. So Tess is going to lead the way and show us how we can actually make our way through 2020, I think, feeling more vibrant, more luminous, and basically creating a far more abundant 2020 year for us. Thanks, Tess. You can just hit it and lead the way. I'm going to leave you in peace.
Okay. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Hello, Spotlighters. Question for you, coaches and change makers. Have you ever experienced guiding someone through an action step and they were so excited and so committed and they were so sure they were going to do it, and then next week rolls around and they did none of it? Nothing.
Yep.
My name is Tess Vergara, soul-powered executive coach. And once upon a time, I was that client before I became a coach. I was working with a coach and I loved her and she was amazing. We had good enough rapport that she could help me shift my state and get me to commit to a set of action plans. But the change did not last to really break me out of procrastination and inaction. It was like the more I tried, the more I failed. At that time, I just wanted to be able to do the job I was supposed to do, I was paid to do, but I kept pushing it off. So I'm not saying that they don't work, but mind hacks and mindset strategies alone only work to a certain degree. And at some point, you need to come home to your soul power. And that's what we're going to talk about in this segment. And many of my clients come to me for this reason. They've done, the inner work, the Tony Robbins, they've done the same trainings and live events that I went to, but there was still something deeper that was missing. And guess what? Even before all that mindset and personal development work that I did, I was also deep into meditation and spiritual awakening already. And yet that by itself was also not sufficient. I could get myself blissed out and relaxed, but I still got heavily triggered into an emotional reaction, meaning I literally wanted to strangle someone, specifically someone. And that's when I got into energy work and emotional mastery and NLP and law of attraction and laws of the universe and so much. And I didn't invest in any of those trainings to become a coach. I invested thousands of dollars in those trainings because I was in so much pain, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And so I just wanted to feel like myself again. I wanted to be free from negativity in my thoughts, in my words, in my behavior, in my perception of the world that was weighing me down. I hated being at war with myself. I wanted to feel in control again, not restless, not powerless, and not directionless. And so I really wanted to understand why I was self-sabotaging. Something that I could do in 5 minutes, a simple accounting worksheet. I kept postponing it. I kept postponing until I buried myself with tons of work and I started doubting myself and not trusting myself. I was a financial controller making 6 figures, owned multiple rental properties because and despite of being a single mom, raising my children solo without a dime from their father who, by the way, just a side story here, their father attempted to kidnap my children when they were very small. But the angels intervened and woke me up. And that's a whole other story. And I don't have time to get into it right now. But long story short, I raised my children all by myself since they were 2 and newborn with no family around. All my family are in Canada. So my children were, and they still are, the center of my universe, the reason of my being. But it expanded from there now, right? But back then, when they turned teenagers, I didn't know what to do with myself. They felt different. I got into this emotional roller coaster. I was so distraught. That one time I brought it up to a similar group like this, full of coaches and changemakers, and they told me, Tess, your kids are not doing drugs. They're not in prison. They're not pregnant. They are academically and artistically gifted. They're just being teenagers trying to get to know themselves. So you should be thankful and you should appreciate yourself instead of beating yourself up. And so what did I do? I got married again. So something was really screwed up in my head, right? I can admit and I cannot laugh at it now, but not back then. In the old consciousness reality, in the old consciousness world where we're impressing others is the norm, it would harm my reputation as a professional who independently and single-handedly built a life for herself and her children, right? To openly admit that I was whacked in the head. But I was, and I needed help. Except within 6 months of marriage, I threw my wedding rings at my new husband and I told him I couldn't do it. I was in such deep, deep pain and conflict with myself. One minute I wanted to love him forever, and the next minute I just wanted to divorce him and strangle him. And so minute by minute, I started losing self-confidence. I couldn't trust myself any longer. I couldn't listen to my mind anymore. It won't shut up because it was already starting to think of, suicide. I was not suicidal, but I could tell that it was going there. My thoughts were going there. So I had to listen 24/7 to Wayne Dyer and Marianne Williamson. I was so out of control and overwhelmed and powerless, and I couldn't trust myself. So the 6 months with my coach was helpful. It taught me a lot, but it wasn't deep enough. So what I'm about to share with you is a product of that emotional roller coaster ride, of physical fatigue and mental breakdown, spiritual depression. And I called it my dark night of the soul. And I have 4 tips for you to illuminate and activate a soul-powered 2020 for you. And if you're ready, type in the comments to start. Type in I am in to start the soul-powered activation, because the activation doesn't happen from me. You have to activate it in yourself, right? So type I am in to start. And so soul-powered tip number 1, there's no such thing as self-sabotage. When we appear to be self-sabotaging and working against what we plan to do or want to achieve, refrain from self-judgment and self-loathing. There's no such thing as self-sabotage. What's happening is, on a soul level, the soul wants to bring you back to center, back to balance, back to alignment from within, back to wholeness. And this right here in that wholeness is where your true power is, your soul power. That is where you listen, you receive guidance from your own soul. So instead of asking, why am I self-sabotaging, and then beat yourself up for it, which is what I did. It was a trap that I was in. Ask yourself, what is the higher invitation here? What is the higher perspective? What am I being invited to? And so just breathe through it and invite in clarity. Actually, if you're bold, command your consciousness to bring your clarity. And just take a moment to feel the power of that. Command clarity. As a powerful creator of your reality, you can command clarity and whatever else you want to see happen. You just want to make sure you're in alignment with what you desire, okay, and what you're ready for it. And avoid judging yourself at all costs, because judgment creates more separation, which invites in more fear and insecurity. Which brings me to soul-powered tip number 2. Wholeness is our nature, not separation. Wholeness is our nature. So at this point, just allow your beginner's mind to get curious and suspend judgment. You cannot activate something you are judging. And if you're ready to activate your wholeness, just say it to yourself or type in the comment. Really admit it, really claim it. I am whole. Success doesn't come from rational mind alone or powering through alone or the heart alone. It may work temporarily, but it's not sustainable. It feels like hard work, or it feels like something is missing or lacking or not fulfilling. So, in order to function from a soul powered wholeness, we need to bring all of ourselves to the equation. We need to bring our physical body, our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual body. And I don't have time to really delve into each of the four pillars. I call the four bodies, the four pillars to wholeness. So what I would like to invite you to do is to re-listen to the past replays of my fellow spotlighters. Someone talked about Aston talked about beating the imposter syndrome, Louise, emotional intelligence, Sherry, healthy body and soaring spirit, and Ilona, dancing with life. So there's so much nuggets in each of the four pillars that they already talked about. So the presentation right here is about reconciling the four pillars to wholeness. We cannot live fragmented and separated any longer. We can't afford to any longer. At least that was my experience. My inner light, my inner fire went out. I burnt out. At some point, all that separatedness and inner conflict is what gives our power away. It is mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually draining and debilitating when you are out of alignment, out of balance, and not congruent with your whole soul-powered self. The biggest lie and the biggest sin ever perpetuated on earth is to condition humans to believe and to keep trapped in believing there is something or someone out there that we have to get, achieve, deserve, impress, perform, or do in order to feel whole and complete. This is what gives your power away, to keep believing that something outside of you is your source of happiness, that something outside of you needs to approve your worth and value. And so that creates a lot of unnecessary struggle and suffering and self-conflict and hard work. And that's no longer required. You are whole and complete right now, always been, and always will be. So my question for you, is it time to step out of your divided self, your separated self, and fully into your soul-powered whole self? And you don't have to say yes right now. By all means, if it resonates with you, say yes, 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 right? Whether or not you are aware of it, you are already soul-powered. Whether you are ready or not, your soul knows when it's time to step into it. So don't make the mistake that I did, comparing my journey with others. Our paths may be similar, but we are each unique souls, and we have each unique divine process and timing. So try not to make comparisons. So soul-powered tip number 3, how do you distinguish your soul power versus your divided, separated self? So divided self is separated from itself, right? It's constantly standing in fear. So if you can imagine your physical, your emotional, your mental, and spiritual, all fragmented or not talking to each other, not connected at all. It's not united. Imagine your heart saying one thing and your mind saying another. Can you feel what kind of results you are creating in your life when you are divided and separated? Can you feel that you get influenced by countless outside influences? And that gets to be so confusing. You know, you're fighting what is right thing to do every moment. You're standing in fear, confused, unable to take action or make decisions. There's an inner discord or conflict or resistance, and you're unable to move forward. You're feeling needy and insecure and run by survival and coping mechanisms just to get through and get by. And you're easily afraid, agitated, and triggered, and feeling always not enough, lacking, seeking fulfillment from an outside source. And I said to myself, that's not the kind of life I want. And what I wanted was wholeness and freedom and power, but not power over, but soul power. And this is a rock solid foundation, the integration of your physical, your emotional, your mental, and spiritual. Like, feel right now the vertical integration of all four bodies, or call them the four pillars. And imagine right now they're in alignment, not fighting with each other. There's oneness instead of conflict. And just feel the energy of wholeness when you're functioning from this unified field, when you are fully sourced from within yourself. Is there anything you have to feel fearful about, right? When you're soul powered, you're certain and clear what you truly, deeply desire to experience and create. There's no back and forth. You are clear, you are certain. You are stable and harmonized inside of you. You are guided by a deep sense of truth and knowingness. And you are at peace with yourself, with the world, with creation itself. And you are radiating and vibrating love itself because you are sourced from within. You feel abundant and free. Those are the distinctions. And if you can think of any more distinctions, pop them in at the comments. And soul power tip number 4. So how do we reconcile the 4 pillars? So I'm just going to go through this very quickly because I want to honor Vanessa's time and your time, right? So the first thing to do is rewire the brain, retrain your mind to rewire your thoughts that says you're not enough, that you're broken, that you have to prove to the world your worth, and that you have to do. Whew, just release that. Step number 1, rewire your brain. Who you are is enough. Who you are is already whole. Who you are is already soul powered. And step number 2 is release emotional blocks. Anything that's unresolved, old wounds, heartbreaks, baggage, they gotta go. Gotta release those. Can't heal what you don't feel. So you gotta unnumb your feelings and start feeling again. And then we're gonna rebalance, harmonize your emotions, and reconnect your mind and heart and feel again. Feel alive again. Feel the fullness of life again. Feel the fullness of life as you. And step number 3 would be to recondition any habituated patterns that become so identified as your limited or divided self. So it's you need to reset disempowering habits, raise your body awareness and resonance, realign and reinforce new empowered habits. And the more you empower yourself to do that, the more you master, the more it becomes embodied, the more it is you. It's just like, creating a muscle for it. And the last thing is to really restore your spirit. A lot of things we've been conditioned to do was to snuff out the human spirit. It's time to reclaim your birthright, your divine birthright. It's time to reignite your soul power, and it's time to radiate your true light and wholeness. And there you have it, Vanessa. Those are my soul-powered tips to Soul Powered 2020.
I liked when you brought the 4 all in together, and we did that sort of imaginary thing of bringing it all together. Well, I imagined it all together. And in that moment, I could just feel the power
Yeah.
just doing that exercise. So even just doing that exercise alone, I think really kind of raised my
Yeah.
just where I was at. And I'm usually, I'm usually pretty good, but that was even just one step up. So I think that's something I'll be bringing in a lot more every morning, Tess.
Yes. Yay.
So if anyone else who has stuck and watched us the whole way through, Jackie, I know you've been there with us the whole way through. By
Hi,
all means,
Jackie.
please just leave a comment as well. I know you've said plenty of hellos and let us know that you're there. So great that you're there, Jackie. Just let us know, or let Tess know, sort of how you felt about that, if any of it had any effect on you as well. And while we just finish off, Tess, thank you so much. You did keep it on the mark as well, not like me. I went completely over time when I did 9, and so did Eston.
Oh, believe me, I can go on and on about this topic.
Well, it's good to be able to just keep it in the time frame that we've said. I just want to say that Tess is a really marvelous speaker, and her voice is quite meditative, and you can really get into it. So I'd just say to anyone who's wanting a speaker or wanting to talk about this, Tess is actually a soul-powered executive coach. So this is her field, and working with the 4 pillars of helping people get soul-powered, particularly for leaders, executives, all that as well. But you will work with anyone who needs this work. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
But Tess would be a great speaker for podcasts, stuff like that. So I just want to put that out there, because I know just listening to your voice, it really draws me in. So I just want to say, great speaker here. So if you're looking for a podcast guest to talk about this, I'd get in contact with Tess right now.
Thank you, Vanessa.
And I've put in the steps in the comments as well. So if anyone just wants to flip through to each of those steps, you'll find them there in real-time comments as well. But I suggest listening to the whole thing. So here's what you've got to do next. So there are a few Christmas gifts left. Let's call them New Year's gifts, because we are past Christmas. The other coaches who have been doing their presentations, you can still go back and watch those, of course. As Tess mentioned, they have lots of gold nuggets in them, and they are all put together to take you from where Susanna first started with your vision and your map for 2020, and of course, ending up with Tess on how you can actually start to vibrate with that, the mission and the map that you've set out as well. And in the middle, we have some great content from the others who have all contributed and popped that up. So just go back and watch them. But these are the ones that there's still a Christmas gift / New Year's gift. And that is Eston's. He's got a great 2-hour Amplify session for a coach or change maker there. If you go back and watch Eston's on busting imposter syndrome, a biggie, I know, that comes up for quite a few people. As I mentioned, you don't just have to be a new coach to be thinking that you're doing imposter syndrome. We can do it at all levels. Mine was, of course, the 3 stages towards consistently attracting clients for 2020. So go back and have a look at that. I have a massive gift there to give away for someone who wants to participate as well, and take note of where you are in those 3 stages. And of course, comment today and interact with Tessa's here, and you could win. Tess, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. Well, it's a soul powered activation, right? It's worth $197. And really, it's whatever it is that you are ready to allow and receive in your mind, right? So if you're seeking inner reconciliation and peace of mind, and that rock solid foundation of standing on soul power, comment. And I really believe that we coaches and change makers are being invited to create a new world where we are soul powered, not fear driven, not conflicted, not doing just for the sake of doing, right? So if this is you, I'd love to help out, and you are the one activating it. I'm simply the guide, right? So we are going to look at whatever is feeding the imbalance and incongruence in your life, whatever is supporting the mentality of lack, separation, and not enoughness, right? We're going to look at all that. But whatever you are open and willing and ready to receive and activate in your own life, that is what usually happens in a session with me. So if you're ready for that, comment.
Yeah, and Tess will get to choose from the comments. So we'll be choosing, and we'll announce it. I'll announce it New Year's Day. So it'll be a nice New Year's Day present for someone here within the group. And I think this would be perfect too for coaches and change makers entering and powering yourself up for a great big 2020. And I know for most of us, it's on our mind. We want to make the most of this coming year. So I think this is a perfect gift for yourself as well to come along and win. Okay, Tess, you know what? I was thinking we might do something like this every month throughout 2020 and bring you in once a month throughout 2020. And let's do some sort of soul-powered activation for group members each month through 2020. You can soul power us through the entire year. If you would like to pop in, we'll arrange something if you want.
Of
and just
course.
yeah, let's
Oh
just
my
I just think
God.
yeah, I just think we want to keep them on track. We want to keep them on track, and myself as well. It's not just the group members, it's myself as well. And I just love this idea of having you come in once a month, so January, February, March, and so on, and having some sort of soul-powered activation that you'll do for us for that month and what we're all looking at each year through 2020. So let's make a thing of this throughout 2020.
Oh my God. I am deeply honored. Thank you.
Yeah, I just think it would be great. I just think it would be really, really worthwhile for everyone to tap into it as well. Okay, guess what I'm off? I'm off to take my daughter now down to the shop so she can spend her Christmas vouchers.
Yes.
I think you guys are still on Boxing Day. We've gone through the Christmas Boxing Day and into that nice, easy between Christmas and New Year's stage now.
Oh, I'm off to go dancing.
Oh, good on you. All right, just remember everyone, make sure to comment whether you are live or watching the replay. We want you to drop in, and I know that you've all been watching, but make sure that you add some comments as well. You need to comment to get on Tessa's radar, so she may choose you for the Soul Powered Activation. Thanks so much, Tess, and bye
Oh
everyone.
my God. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.